Rise and shine.
Glad to welcome you back, but let's take you into Ghana, where a research institution talking about global info analytics made projections as to who will become Ghana's next president. And true to the predictions they made, we saw Ghana vote out the incumbent and vote in a new leadership in the person of Mahama. Of course, joining us this morning is Eugene Kumi Ahin from Ghana, who he's, of course, the Senior Research Officer at Global Info Analytics. Good morning, Eugene. Welcome to Rise and Shine.
Good morning.
Hello, Eugene. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Rise and Shine. How are you this morning and how is Ghana?
Ghana is very good and I'm very good as well.
Okay, so myself, Francis, and Uyai together will be asking you some questions about the state of the affairs in Ghana as we say. But let's start from the very beginning. Your firm made projections, and those projections are now Ghana's reality in terms of who is in charge of the affairs or who will be in charge going forward. What were the indices and indicators that you use for the projection?
Thank you for your question. What we normally do is we train people we normally call field officers or enumerators on how to administer questionnaire. So we go out there. If we pick a particular constituency, we pick a sample size of about, say, 3,000, interview, then from there, we try to do the plus and minuses by knowing those who are interested to vote for a particular political party. Some of the questions we do ask is, if elections are held today, who would you vote for? It is an impromptu question, impromptu recall. So you yourself will tell us the party or the candidate you wish to vote for. Then we indicate it on a machine, which will sync into the office. So after going around the whole country, asking people who they want to vote for, we do our calculations and come out with figures as to who the people of Ghana want to elect as president and why they are electing that particular person as president and what they stood on to elect that person as president.
Now, those are really strong indices to see that it's not just what would we call it, a guess. You're not just speculating in making those projections, as it were. So this gave you an insight into who might become the next president. But a key question here is looking into the antecedents of John Mahama, who has recently been re-elected as president of the Republic of Ghana. If you would give us a moment, compare the time he was first president of the Republic and how well he did in managing the economy and development in the country and the expectations that Ghanaians have of him whilst he returns to office in light of several economic realities, global wars, economic hardship, inflation, soaring prices for oil, as it were.
We try to years why bring back John administration as of the time he was in office was far better as compared to Chado. So that is why Ghanaians voted for John Dramani Mahama. They are saying is that during John Mahama's time, things were stable, the economy was stable, but as it stands now, things are moving every day. Every now and then you go to the filling station to fill your car and petrol will be rising, diesel will be rising. So Ghanaians were really talking about the economic hardship. That is the reason for moving Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Nana Akufo-Addo from the presidency.
All right then. So I'm also asking, in terms of economic policies and economic direction, when you compare the time, let's look at his policy direction when he was first president. Would you think that a repeat of those policy directions will rebirth Ghana's economic stability and probably hit off the inflation that's been happening in the country, the worst of its kind in a generation?
I don't think so. I think he has to get new strategies in coming up again because those times now things are really hard up. There is economic crisis, there is Ukraine war, COVID came into existence, and things have changed. I think the whole world is suffering with economic hardship. But if he uses the old strategy he used then, today, I don't think things will work out. So if John Dramani Mahama is coming in as a new president today, those strategies used to stabilize.
Okay, I think that there's a network interference, so we do hope to get him back on the line. But he has stated the obvious truth. The strategies that worked 16 years ago definitely are
Definitely
not going
not.
to work in 2024, going into 2025 and going forward.
Hello.
Yes, good to have you back. So, sorry, we lost you there for a moment.
All right.
So do go ahead. Just complete your trend of thought before we move on in the
Good.
interview.
So what I was saying is, if he's trying to use his old strategy, definitely it's not going to work because things have changed. Everything is rising. There's war everywhere. Fuel prices are rising everywhere. So he is supposed to mount different
We established in this particular election is that the election was grossly won and lost on the bed of economic crisis, and one expectation that Ghanaians really have is that, just as our guest is saying this morning, with the need to rejig his strategies would be working towards a new economic rebirth for the Republic of Ghana. And that's something that will make all eyes to literally be on him and the first historic vice president of the Republic. There's a lot of work to be expected out of here. We know that Ghana is one of the world's, is the world's second largest producer of cocoa. If you now, lean into your natural resources and look for how to leverage on that in terms of production and exports,
Hello.
maybe it becomes a window of help. Welcome back. We apologize for the interference with the network. But then,
All
just
right.
to add to the conversation, Ghana is the second largest producer of cocoa in the world. Add that to several other natural resources that you have. You have things that have been given to you by Mother Nature that, if you have systems and, once again, policy directions in place, should help you to have something to leverage in the international market. Now, I want you to compare the activities of the Nana Akufo-Addo-led administration in terms of managing of resources and, the expected difference with how John Mahama is going to handle them.
Okay, thank you. What Ghanaians are talking, especially with regards to our gold, is that as it stands now, the Ghanaian gold system has been something everybody can go in there to pick without any license or any structure put forward. So they are destroying the forest reserves, they are destroying our water bodies, they are destroying everything we have as a resource. So what Ghanaians are saying is, as John Dramani Mahama is coming, he needs to strategize, put policies in place so that those resources like the water bodies and other things will be kept clean for our future leaders. Again, with respect to the oil and other stuff, Ghanaians are calling for factories and industries so that our oil will be refined in the country to reduce the cost a bit for us. So they are trying to talk to John Dramani Mahama in a way that things must be done in the country so that everything will go down, than taking it outside to be done to be brought back into the country.
Okay, now let's go to another very major concern of Ghanaians as far as the youth population is concerned, the question of unemployment and the need to create employment opportunities for the teeming youth population to work and be able to make, honest, legitimate living for themselves and their families. Previously, going back to Mahama's, time and the present reality, looking at the economic situation of Ghana as we speak, is there a possibility of him being able to turn the tides around? I mean, yes, you're talking about gold, you're talking about, the mining sector, literally natural resources. The job opportunities that can come from this sector, can it take care of the needs of the Ghanaian population? And that is on one end. The second part of it would be, are the Ghanaians, do they possess the necessary skill set within these critical sectors where the government might possibly be thinking around?
Thank you. With regards to jobs, that is why John Dramani Mahama put forward a policy which he called a 24-hour economy. What he was trying to talk about is, as it stands now, let's say if you go to the airport or the port services, people work day in, day out. It moves around through morning, afternoon, evening, night shift. Like what happens in the hospital, we have morning, afternoon, night shift. So he wants to bring this policy to various sectors so that it will put more people on board to reduce the unemployment rate. And again, with the critical skills we're talking about, Ghanaians are well equipped and have learned to that extent that when they are trained, they can do anything that you tell them to do. So Ghanaians have the skills to do whatever job that can be taken outside for people to do to get the money. Ghanaians can also do to get that same money. So with regards to employment condition, I think John Dramani Mahama tackled in his manifesto with a 24-hour economy, and that is where Ghanaians really fell on, because the indicators that they looked on to vote, it was firstly economy, and second was jobs. They are looking for jobs, hungry jobs. When they complete, they are in the house without jobs. So that is why they are bringing in John Dramani Mahama to see if his 24-hour economy policy can help Ghanaians.
So looking at the 24-hour economy, it's such a laudable initiative, but we must look at the government's ability to pay the people that will be bringing on board. If you have people work the morning, afternoon and night shift, as it were, it means you'll be having more numbers coming on the payroll of the Ghana government. Does Ghana have enough resources, whether it's it's internally generated revenue and all the likes, to pay more people within its system? That will also bet the question of public-private partnerships in Ghana to bolster the economy, to help the federal government, as it were, to get this 24-hour role done?
If we are talking about resources, I would say yes, because Ghana has every resource it needs to manage the country. Just that they are misused, that be in a poverty state. But if things are really managed well, we have resources to cater for people we employ on board, because automatically they also be working to bring money into the system.
Okay then, something else that is on the manifesto of John Dramani Mahama is the fact that he's seeking to do a 10 billion US dollar investment in infrastructure, and that seems to be something that also excited the up and coming generation. Now there's also a split in the interest of people in John Dramani Mahama. There are people who had experienced his first time in government who have some things against him. But remember that we're also having the influence and the impact of the Generation Z, on this election. They're newcomers who voted for the very first time in this particular election. How do you see his monetary policies, his intended monetary policies, especially to lower the debt burden that is on Ghana?
Comparing John Mahama's time or administration to the current government, Nana Akufo-Addo, you can see that managerial skills with John Dramani Mahama was a bit critical as compared to that of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Akufo-Addo. So Ghanaians have the belief and the trust in John Dramani Mahama that he is going to manage the public purse far better than the government. Because if you look at the debts that Ghanaians are having now as compared to that of John Dramani, development, compared John Dramani Mahama to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Akufo-Addo's government, you can see that there's a clear difference. That is what exactly Ghanaians look on to say John Dramani Mahama can do better in administration government than Dr.
Okay, that's still it. John Mahama is expected to be able to do better in terms of economic management than, the Nana Akufo-Addo led, governments. If you watch some of the videos that came out of the elections and even during the victory speech of, John Mahama, you would hear every time that Nana Akufo-Addo's name was mentioned. In some quarters, there seemed to be some booings that, followed his name. It looks like, the Nana Akufo-Addo led government in the minds of a lot of Ghanaians seem to be termed as a massive failure. But I'm hoping that we can take that particular conversation with our guest. In what particular ways did Nana Akufo-Addo really fail the people? And, is there a trust? All right, then. Good to have you back. So my question is going to be, I was just sharing with Francis the fact that in all of this election time, it seemed that in some quarters, every time that Nana Akufo-Addo's name was mentioned, some people seemed to boo the idea of his name. So I'm going to ask specifically, in what ways did Nana Akufo-Addo really fail the people of Ghana? And do you think that Ghanaians still have a trust in government to do right by them?
Yeah, Nana Akufo-Addo failed with regards to the economy. He promised, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on his campaign tour promised to really stabilize the economy and make Ghana's economy the best in the whole world. But looking at the condition now, Ghanaians are crying, and their whole cry is on the economy. Again, the one district, one factory policy became something like an ISO. Only of those factories could be seen or is existent. The rest can free SHS policy Nana Akufo-Addo brought. Most Ghanaians don't see as to how he implemented it. So these are some of the ways that Ghanaians feel he has disappointed them because they had that trust that they're talking about economy. They knew they are coming to stabilize and make things better. But rather when they came into government, things are really worse. So this is the reason why Ghanaians pushed the Akufo-Addo government out of office.
Okay. So it comes down to implementation of the promises that Addo made to the people of Ghana that he has not fulfilled. But just before we wrap up this conversation, in your projections, let's look at everything that is before us. The Ghana people are very hopeful. In fact, they have high hopes on the ability of the new president to take the country out of the present challenges. What is your assessment of the emotions or the length of patience that the people of Ghana would give to Mahama? Because yes, the situation is dicey. Yes, the crisis has been, ongoing for a while now. The people are looking for a solution. He has proffered a way to bring that solution on board. The question now would be the duration it would take for him to implement the, formulate and implement the policies and the time that is needed for this transformation to be felt. Do you think the Ghana people would have that patience for him?
I know my people, and I know after 3 months, they will start complaining. So my firm would take a survey after 3 months when Mahama is sworn in to know if things are really changing for Ghanaians or still the same. Maximum Ghanaians can give John Dramani Mahama is after 6 months. If they don't see things have changed, they will start complaining and start lamenting that we have voted for the wrong person. So Mahama's administration must start immediately to put things in place. If not, maximum 6 months, Ghanaians will start to complain.
Maximum 6 months, Ghanaians might start to complain again if things are not different. Well, the hopes are still high. I know you yourself, you are a top politician in the nation. But we must talk about collaboration with the Mahama, incoming government. How do you see and expect collaboration between the NDC and the NPP, as it were?
Hello?
Mr. Kumi, are you able to hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you
Okay,
now.
so I'm asking that as a politician yourself, with the current climate, political climate in Ghana, especially with what the Vice President Bawumia did by conceding defeat early on before the announcements were even made, what are your expectations with regards to, your expectations with regards to collaboration between the NDC and politicians of the NPP to move Ghana forward?
Hello, please, your question again. The network was very bad.
Okay. So I'm asking, expected collaboration between politicians of the NDC and the NPP to move Ghana forward.
Yes, we are expecting a collaboration between the NPP and NDC to make Ghana move forward because he is coming in as a new president, although he has been president before.
So sad to say we're not able to take that particular response from Mr. Eugene Kumi Ayin, who is a senior research officer at the Global Info Analytics. The good thing here is that they have a strong groundwork upon which they analyze government activities and project upon that. And he has also spoken to the fact that they're going to continue with that routine to assess the work ethics and the deliverables that will be brought by the John Mahama led government in the first 3 months, and of course they would go ahead to do that throughout the 4-year tenure that John Mahama has. Remember that he rose to power from vice president in 2009 after the death of his principal at the time, and then was re-elected to serve up until 2017 and has now returned to the Jubilee House to serve another 4 years. The brunt of this particular election is that it rose and fell on the cry of the economy. So the biggest assignment for the John Mahama-led administration will be to revive the economy of Ghana. Will he be able to stand with everyone in the nation to actually do that for the good people of Ghana? But that's the size of that particular conversation we can have, and we want to say a big thank you to Mr. Eugene Kumi, who joined us all the way from Ghana this morning and gave us assessment of things. Thankfully, the Republic of Ghana is remarkably peaceful after the elections. We are not planning to hear any kind of litigations whatsoever being pushed out. It was who the people voted versus who they wanted and all of that. That doesn't seem to be on the horizon for Ghana.
Well, it's definitely going to be a challenging scenario. And I had to ask that question, particularly judging from the Nigerian scenario with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where we have different persons believing that we should give the president some more time and others saying, look, he said he was prepared 20 years ago, so we should have seen a lot more transformational changes as far as his leadership is concerned. But we watch and see how it will go. In the next 3 months, we'll have to bring Eugene Kumi back and try to see what the situation is like in Ghana. But on the whole, the people have spoken. We do hope, Mahama is able to bring the changes. Every government owes that to the people.
Every government owes that to the people. But we have owed you quality time on the show this morning. We do hope that you've had value for your time. Thank you so much for joining the Wednesday morning conversation on Rise and Shine. It's been a great time. We do hope that you can head onto social media to react to the conversations that we've had. Like, share, comment on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and the likes. It's been a great morning. Until we come your way again tomorrow, my name is Uyai MM.
And I am Frank Cizadet. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Good morning.